As we wrap up 2019, Yahoo Finance is taking a look backwards at the year and the 2010s overall. Today, we're going to look at the decade's most influential companies. They include Instagram, WeWork, Betterment, Venmo, Slack, Spotify. Want to talk about Enron? No, I don't think we want to include them. Yahoo Finance's Ethan Wolff-Mann joins us now. And Ethan, okay, so what themes emerged as you were gathering this list? And no, Enron would have been before 2010. Yeah.
Enron before that. WeWork not. So I wonder if this is a surprise to anybody that I put this on there. But I think one of the big themes is this idea of leveraging the individual as a supplier, but also leveraging companies and real estate kind of in a similar fashion. You know, WeWork doing something that was similar to Uber and Airbnb. So sort of like a further step from that, even though it was a failure. But I think the big theme of this past decade was figuring out how to build on top of this framework of connectivity that everyone now has. You have what was built on Verizon and AT&T providing this sort of network, plus Google, Apple, Samsung providing these phones for everyone to have, and how that changed our entire landscape. The companies now could build upon that and make new kind of cool, interesting things. I mean, Uber, Venmo, I mean, all of these sort of changes that are so fundamental to how we now live our lives. I think that was kind of the biggest theme that came from this.
So WeWork doesn't surprise me on this list. Betterment, though, does surprise me. What's the thinking behind that one?
Well, so having stuff like Betterment on here, these are sort of companies, Spotify as well, companies that changed their entire landscape because of Betterment, because of robo-advisors. You've seen all these incumbents following and having to change how they do their own business. It's changed, retirement and investing in a really profound way. And I mean, if you think about, to move on to Spotify, for example, I mean, the iTunes store really doesn't exist anymore in the same way. And that's sort of what the iTunes store did to CDs, Spotify has done. It's not necessarily they've won that space, but they've changed that space.
When you mentioned iTunes, I was thinking, how do I convert my MP4s into a playable format?
Remember that?
When you're looking at all of these, and when you talk about WeWork, didn't the model for that, though, shouldn't Starbucks, I realize it's not a 2010s, but I thought the whole impetus for this was that people were going to Starbucks to do their startup business because you got the free Wi-Fi, you had a cup of coffee, but they needed a place to congregate with their clients.
Well, so this idea that, a business might benefit from having a bit of flexibility and maybe paying more for that flexibility in terms of its own real estate to be able to farm out some of those costs. We've seen this through sort of incumbent companies like Microsoft and Amazon for their computing services with Azure, with Amazon Web Services. But this is something that we hadn't seen in physical spaces in the same way, although we had seen this demand for this flexible new kind of way for businesses to deal with their own real estate. The unit economics clearly do not work in the way that WeWork had. You cannot lose $1 billion a quarter. That just doesn't work. And but you might be able to have, as we've seen, certain individual locations being profitable. And so it's not impossible that this won't work in the future. You could easily see a use case that would make sense. Maybe not with a technology company valuation.
Right.
It worked for Adam Newman.
And there actually is an analyst who's arguing it would work under certain conditions. We're going to talk about that later in the show. But for now, thank you very much, Ethan. Appreciate it.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.